friends, and welcome back to my channel. This is Nova Gnome Creations, and I'm Nova, and I am so happy to see you today. I hope you guys are doing awesome, and I hope you and your loved ones are taking care of the best that you can. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. Hopefully you have gotten some time in just for yourself, just to do something that you love, just to relax, sit down, take a deep breath, maybe get yourself something nice to drink, or pick up a craft project or crochet project, whatever it is that you want to do. You could read, you could hang out with me here on YouTube, you could crochet, you could knit, you could paint, you could draw, you could do absolutely nothing and not feel guilty about it. Yeah. So you need to take that time for yourself. Even if you just literally want to sit there and do absolutely nothing, do not feel guilty about it. If you need that space to breathe, to decompress, and to relax, give yourself that space, okay? You're important and you need it. You need to be able to relax. So whatever it is that's going to bring you some joy, whether it's taking some time to do something that you love to do that you don't get to do very often, or carving out some time to, try out a new hobby, or to take a nap, to sit and just enjoy that cup of coffee and do nothing but like breathe and chill and listen to music or watch YouTube or whatever. Make sure you set aside some time to do that, okay? I hope that you are. So today I've got some more kind of whimsical looking, more whimsical side of crochet creations. And actually one of them is more of a yarny creation than crochet specifically. I think first I will start with the crochet. So you guys, if you have been around for a little bit, you may know about a channel, actually two channels, called Mantha's Makes and Obsessive Crochet Lady. And you may know that they are doing a, Impkins, Year of the Impkins for 2024. So it is a little tag that you are welcome to take part in. It is for channels and for subscribers. And it is where every 2 months, so it's like there'll be 6 of them this year, every 2 months, there is an Impkin project from Megan Lapp's Impkin book. And then what they do is they actually live stream picking what we're going to make for that 2-month segment. So if you go over there when it's time to pick, you can be part of the voting. They'll have like several picked out from each section. Since the Impkins are kind of made in pieces, they're sort of like, what's a good comparison? I don't know, think of like a Mr. Potato Head or something where you can swap out the pieces. So like, okay, now it's time to do the hair. I've got a hat, I've got a hair, I've got this or that. It's time to do the eyes. I've got glasses, I've got sleeping eyes, I've got awake eyes, that kind of thing. Using something that you may have seen before, like a Mr. Potato Head, as an example. But basically you can mix and match all these different pieces. They all are made, the pattern is made so that they fit together. And so you can go through and pick out like, okay, I want to do these arms and these legs and this torso. There's like a bunch of different types of accessories for the head, or different types of noses or ears or whatever. And they pick out like a couple selections for each category, and then they do the voting on live stream, so you get to be part of the decision. And then for the next 2 months, everybody works on them. You can send your pictures to both Sam and Amanda. Those are those 2 channels I just mentioned, which I will link in the description box below this video. And they will share your makes on their community tabs. And of course, if you have a channel, you can share them there as well. But basically it's just everybody making this really sometimes wonky little Impkin, very, very whimsical type of little creatures. So this time around, it is a very wonky Impkin in my opinion. So when we were picking the pieces for this Impkin, and I saw what pieces were getting chosen, particularly the nose that was chosen, which was a snoot, I think it was called, I was like, this is going to be a wonky looking one. So I decided to like really lean into the wonkiness, and I made mine this little scrappy, colorful little dude. So these are actually the leftovers of yarn from that crochet kit that I did, that high crochet kit. And I told you guys I actually really enjoyed that yarn. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use all the little scraps of yarn that I have left from that. And that's actually why the wings are multiple colors. I just used the yarns until they ran out. So I started with yellow on one wing and switched to that blue, and I started with blue on one wing and then switched to the yellow. So that was why they're kind of different colors, but I knew it was going to be that way. I knew it was going to end up being really colorful, you know, just enough yarn to do little individual pieces. And so I thought it would be perfect for this one because it's just so weird. I thought it was so weird. So this one had the little antenna as like one of the accessory options. I decided to put them both facing the same direction, kind of like, I have to like put it down to show you, but I also tilted its head to the side a little bit, so that it looks like it is like using its little snoot to be like, you know, like, I don't know. I just thought it was fun that way. So that's why I also sewed the hands to the face the way that I did and put these little antennas kind of facing the same way, is because I thought it gave sort of an action pose. Like you could like really feel the movement of it. Hopefully that is how it reads to you guys, but I think it's really fun. And it is so small. This is how big it is compared to my hand. They are such little cutesies. And I did sparkly pink eyes. So there you go. And there's kind of a close-up of it. So this one had a standing body. I don't remember which arms and legs. It's like option 1 or option 2 for the arms and legs. Honestly, they're really, really similar. And then it had these beautiful wings. I'm trying to remember what these wings were called. Feathered wings, I believe. Antenna and the little snoot. And then, like I said, I did attach the hands to the face and kind of give it this little action-y pose. Cover my face up so that it focuses on it. But I think that it came out so cute. So that is my first like little whimsical creation. This is incredibly soft, by the way. This yarn is incredibly soft. So this whole thing is like super squishy, comfy, cute, adorable. I love it so much. I'm pretty sure that I know who I'm giving this to already, but I'm not gonna say anything. It'll be a surprise. Anyway, and then the second item that I have is something to do with your yarn scraps. So I save all of my yarn scraps, and what I consider a yarn scrap, by the way, is not what most people consider a yarn scrap. What I consider a yarn scrap is like when I'm doing amigurumi and stuff, I will frequently have pieces of yarn about this big. I consider those yarn scraps. I save all of my little yarn pieces. So like something like this, while most people would consider this a scrap, I actually don't really consider this a scrap because there's still a decent amount of yarn here. And like same with this, I felt like there was still a decent amount of yarn here, and that's why I went ahead and made an amigurumi, something I knew would be small, have lots of small pieces where I wouldn't need a lot of yarn. But sometimes I just have little bits of yarn, and I love coming up with ways to use that yarn. So some of the ways that I use that yarn is I will stuff amigurumi projects with it. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You can mix it with your polyfill. So kind of stuff your polyfill in and then add some yarn scraps and then add a little more polyfill, and it'll kind of put the yarn scraps towards the middle so that it doesn't affect the shape of your project. The other thing that I like to do when I'm stuffing projects with yarn scraps is use it to stuff small parts. So say like feet, hands, noses, things that are really small and kind of difficult to stuff with polyfill, or just, I don't know, it just seems like a good spot to use yarn, especially for like feet and things like that, because yarn has a little bit of weight to it compared to polyfill. So you can kind of make a little bit of a denser stuffing if you use it towards the bottom of it, and it'll help it stand. And that could be the same for things even like gnomes, where they're like more of a solid base. If you want to use the yarn scraps at the bottom and then use polyfill, it'll make it a little bit more weighted at the bottom. Not as much so as putting like rocks or something in the bottom of it would, or those little glass gems that I use, but just for like a subtle weight difference. I do also think, now that I'm thinking about it, if you stuffed a larger amigurumi project with yarn scraps, that would be a good way to make it weighted for like a sensory plushie. So, you know, like the sensory projects where like it has a little bit of a weight to it, where you can sit it on your chest and stuff, helps with anxiety and stuff like that. If it was a larger project and you stuffed it with yarn scraps, it would definitely be heavier. So I don't recommend stuffing with yarn scraps if you're going to be mailing it and you're concerned about the weight. It will definitely be heavier than polyfill. But there are circumstances where stuffing it with yarn scraps actually works better, or at least is a viable alternative. Another thing that I've done is at Christmas time, I got glass ornaments that were clear, and I did yarn scraps in the glass ornaments. Even just putting yarn scraps in the glass ornaments and doing nothing else, I think it's a really fun yarny decoration if you're somebody who loves yarn. Those scraps are all pieces of yarn from projects that you've done, so it's really fun to see them, honestly. You may even be able to look at it and remember which projects those little scraps came from. Also, if you have a lot of certain colors, like last Christmas time, I did one that was Pikachu themed, and it was just a clear glass ball that I went through and picked out all the yellows from my yarn scraps. And like I said, I saved my yarn scraps throughout the whole year, so I have a lot of them. Over time, you get a lot of certain colors, so you can go through and pick out little pieces that are like this big of 17 different yellows, which is kind of fun, actually. And then I put all my yellows into one ball, and then I just drew a really simplified little Pikachu face on the front of it. That's another fun thing that you could do. You can do, you know, certain color themed ones and then draw something on the front. People who are into sports, you could do sports team themed ones that way. If you've got kids that are into certain types of things, you know, like maybe Paw Patrol or something, you could definitely do like a theme color scheme of one of the characters. They usually have like 2, maybe 3 colors that they kind of, like their whole outfit is themed. You could do that and then do like a little paw drawing on the front of it. If you're not like super like artistically inclined towards drawing, you could just do that and draw a little paw print. So those are some ideas. You could also put inside of a ornament yarn and then like glitter or sequins or buttons or anything, and make it kind of little crafty, scrappy like type of project. I personally love stuff like that, which you'll kind of see with the thing I'm about to show you. So the other thing that you can do is make it into like a wall decor piece. So this one is super weird. I like literally went super out there, but this is probably like the second or third one of these types of things I've made and shown you guys. But here it is. I'll just stop beating around the bush and show it to you. So I used an old envelope. It is this green envelope that I had sitting around, and it is like a cardstock envelope, so I thought it would be perfect to use for this project. And what I did was this is literally just a ball of yarn scraps. And let me make sure that this is focused for you guys. All right, so that's literally a ball of yarn scraps. I went around it multiple times with this longer pink strand that I had. You can't see it, but it also goes down here. And I tied around it and around it and around it to secure the yarn in. And then I tied that yarn around the envelope to hold it on. And then I hot glued on the other pieces. I just did strips of yarn, or I crocheted chains. This one is just like a bunch of double crochets that I did in kind of a oval. Down here I did a braid of a couple different kinds of yarn together. And then like these ones, I actually tied together a bunch of yarn scraps, made a long strand of all these different yarn scraps, and then made a chain with it. And then I just went back and forth and glued that on. I threw a cute little amigurumi project that I've had sitting at my desk for like 2 years. This was something I made for Halloween. Not this last Halloween, but the Halloween before it. But I actually love it, which is so crazy to me. I am not a bug person, but there's something about this particular spider. The way that the yarn worked up, it's always given me like radioactive spider vibes. And I just kind of loved it for some reason. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on that little yarn ball. And I don't know why, I just wanted to put it there. And then on this corner, I just did like, I had a little yarn scrap that was tied into, like I tied it into a bow sort of, and I was like, I'm just gonna glue that on there. So this is super, super whimsical and random and weird, and I love it. Like, it's just colorful and scrappy and random. And I'm gonna put this on the wall. But this is like another example of something you can do with your yarn scraps. This would also be a great project for like little kids or older people, you know, just to play around with like tactile, I guess, you know, like get out your yarn scraps, get out some glue, let them have at it, you know, just something that they can do with their hands. I think it's really fun. And like I said, even for me, this was actually like a great stress relief project. And that was kind of what I was going for. I was sitting there like, I want to do something different. I want to do something really chill with no rules. Just kind of play with like ingredients of crafting and do something. I knew I wanted to play around with my glue gun, you know, that kind of thing. So this is what I came up with. But yeah, so there is a little whimsical creations for you guys today. A little idea of things to do with your yarn scraps, because this is actually also a very scrappy project. I literally had like the smallest little bits of yarn for that. If you guys watched my video about the high crochet kit, it was this one. I still have the bag sitting over here. I actually showed in that video how much yarn was left after I made the kit, and that's what I used on that. So I think it was a really fun little use for it, and I did my little Impkin for the year of the Impkins. So if you guys are participating in that, feel free to make sure you send those to Sam and to Amanda. Like I said, I'll link their channels in the description, and you can find out what Impkin is going on right now if you go to their community tabs. That's where they post all the info for that stuff. But if you do make them, feel free to send them to me too. I'm going to be doing Community Spotlight. Community Spotlight is a video that I do here relatively every Friday, sometimes every other Friday. We're kind of just letting it free flow right now. When I have enough emails of Community Spotlight makes, and I'm feeling up to making it, I'm making it, and that's working out really well. It's kind of been like every other week for the last little bit. So if you're wanting to do that, you can send in those for Community Spotlight. You can also send in anything you've made. Just a reminder for Community Spotlight, you do not have to crochet. So it can be crochet, it could be painted, it could be diamond painted, it could be baked, it could be literally anything that you create. So if you made it, you can share it with us if you'd like to. The way that you share that is in the description box below this video. I put my email. It's in the description box below all of my videos, but it is novagnomecreations@gmail.com. You just send me an email with Community Spotlight as the subject line. Put your pictures in there. Let me know what name you would like me to credit you as. It can be your real name. It could be just your first name, first and last initial, first initial, last name, like whatever you want it to be. Like seriously, as long as it's appropriate, whatever. It could be your Instagram handle, YouTube channel name, any of that stuff. You can send that to me. Other than that, you're not required to put anything in that email. You are free to include information. If you want to tell me a story about it, if you want to tell me what yarns you used or what pattern you used, or whatever it is, you are totally welcome to include anything like that, but you are not required to. Send that to me, and then when I go to make my Community Spotlight video, I will go through and find all of the bold-faced, unopened Community Spotlight emails that I have, and I will open them and edit together Community Spotlight, and then you will get to be in my video. I put together a montage of the makes that the community has been up to, and I post it here on my channel. So if you want to do that, send that email and then keep an eye out for the Community Spotlight video, and you will get to be featured in it. And that's just a really fun way to share our crafty goodness, what we're excited about, what we love with other people who also love those things, who are also excited about those things, who get it, you know. Maybe we don't have people in our day-to-day lives that get it like that. So that is what is up, guys. So I hope you guys are having a beautiful week, and I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.